Okay, JC Staff, we need to talk. This scene, what are you saving money for? You literally took something that you had already made a still image in the opening, and you then put it in the episode with a few more foreground characters. Like, what are you saving money for? The animation has already not been that great. Why would you possibly... Oh. Okay. Alright, I'll give you a pass. Let's get started. So, we're back. It's another episode of One Punch Man, and there was a lot of stuff kind of going on with this episode, which kind of threw me for a loop, some of the stuff that happened. There were other things that were kind of predictable, but we got Garo, which is great. Somebody in the writing staff must love Garo, because every time he is in a scene, he steals the scene, and I'm going to kind of break down the episode, but I want to talk a lot about the kind of ending of this episode with Garo, because it really kind of puts a different perspective on villains and heroes that I really like. But either way, the episode starts, we have Saitama and King playing video games, and we see that King has one of a handful of prototypes of these communicators that the Hero Association is handing out. Saitama, of course, didn't get one because the world treats him just extremely unfairly. That's been established forever now. And so Saitama puts it back down, and they go back to playing video games, and he ends up, like, they ignore entirely, or don't see, rather. I don't think they ignore, but they don't see the fact that it's going off because it's face down and the screen's lighting up, but they don't care. They're playing video games. And King is dominating Saitama in the video games, which is hilarious to me. Now, after the opening rolls, and they play the scene that also is played later in the episode. Anyway, we're back at the Hero Association, and we see from last episode, which I didn't really talk about, because again, if I focused primarily on the why that episode didn't work for me. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put a link to it right up there. But in this, we pick up in the Hero Association where we left off with some parasite monster having taken over one of the members of the Hero Association, and he's holding Girogiro, and they are trying to negotiate. Now, this kind of threw me for a loop because it seemed as though they really kind of seemed to have a motive, but that motive was not what I thought it was. The monsters seemed to have a motive of wanting to not be attacked, kind of live on their own, do their own thing, and I was kind of thrown for a loop because it seemed very stereotypical, and I was kind of trying to think of how they would throw a loop on, or throw a twist in on that, and make it so that they just want to live, they want to coexist with humanity, and then I'm like in my brain trying to think what kind of twist can they throw on that if they agree. Well, the twist was that they never intended to coexist, period. The parasite guy shot the dude who put his gun down, and this kind of gives a perspective, gives you an idea of how these monsters kind of feel that they are above everyone. They are above all of humanity. Despite the fact that they seem to be very aware, or at least Girogiro seems to be very aware that there is somebody on their side, on the human side, that is a monster in and of himself, which of course is Saitama. And we only know this because later when the heroes, when the monsters rather, are meeting up in their headquarters, we see that there are several monsters that we have seen previously in other episodes who are met up, and Monster King Orochi is wondering where Gokutsu is. And Girogiro had found Gokutsu completely dead, and is kind of not sure how that happened or why that happened. And of course, before we even get to that point, we see S-Class rank 11. We have Super Alloy Blackluster, who, oh boy, I cannot wait to see the Social Justice Warriors go after this one, because Japan doesn't care. Here in the US, we have a bunch of pansies. I cannot wait to see how that's going to go, and I will not get any more political about that because he is an awesome character. He's a funny character. I like the fact that he tries to calm them down by posing and flexing. He's a funny character, and I love it. And I love the fact that this one parasite monster is amazed by the fact that he can't drill through, his alloy, his metal skin. And it's hilarious to me that that's like just... He's just like, oh, whatever. He just smashes him, wipes him off his hand, and it's just like, oh, everybody's panicked. This is a big deal. Did I calm you down yet? I love it. Oh my gosh. Because we only saw him for a little bit in the last season, and he was just he seemed to have the same kind of like just trying to get everybody to calm down and think through the situation when Boros' ship was attacking, and try to do the same thing here by posing, and I love it. Anyway, back at the Monster Association in their headquarters where everybody's meeting up, we actually get to see a little bit of how monstrous Orochi is. I mean, he's called the Monster King for a reason. So the weird cockroach guy shows up, and because he failed, he gets eaten by Orochi, and everybody seems very surprised by that. And we almost have another character get eaten by him. He definitely shows no mercy, takes no prisoners for a lot of characters. So I feel like with Super S, considering that she was the other one who was going to get eaten, I think that she is probably going to, if she comes back or when she comes back to the series, she's probably going to have a lot more of a presence, or at least be a much more threatening character, because of the fact that she kind of has her life on the line now after seeing the other cockroach guy get eaten, and the fact that she was almost eaten herself. So if or when she returns to the series, she's probably going to have a much bigger presence and be significantly more threatening. After this, we also see Garo waking up, and it was hilarious because he thought that King was the one who took him out. Every time Garo gets attacked, or taken out rather by Saitama, he doesn't remember who attacked him. And it's funny but frustrating because of the fact that Saitama takes him out, and as a result of Saitama taking him out, you get this sort of, oh cool, that's how powerful Saitama is. He just doesn't care. It's a funny gag. But then it's also frustrating because now Garo's just like Saitama unwittingly exaggerated or accentuated the myth of King, thinking that King is so powerful because Garo thinks that King took him out, and he's like, I don't even know how he did that. He got me good. So he has to make it back to his shack. I think it was either his shack or, I think it was the place that he had been hiding out at, but apparently we discover later it was something else as well. But either way, he runs off. He attracts the attention of a hero as he's escaping, but we'll get back to that later. What ends up happening, though, like directly after that, is that the Monster Association, or the information about the Monster Association, was leaked to the public, and people know now. Lots of people know, including the martial artists who were hospitalized. We see general civilians also in that same situation of realizing what's going on, and it's starting to incite panic. Even some of the more powerful martial artists were scared. Now, Ring Ring was also scared, but I'm irritated by her because in one scene they pan across and she's got bandages and marks on her face, and then in the very next scene she kind of grabs herself and it pans up and you can see that she's scared on her face that has no bruises or bandages. How did you miss that? Who animated this one scene, and why in this next scene did you not look at the other scene and realize that? Good luck on seeing that. You're welcome. We also have Kid Emperor talking with Metal Knight, and essentially Metal Knight is saying, "Fine, we know the location, nuke the place." Not really. Apparently that's kind of a go-to for him, I guess. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but you could just send Saitama in there if people actually knew Saitama's strength, but they don't, so why not send a bunch of heroes to try to do that? I don't know. Maybe they could try it. I don't know. But he points out, though, which is funny, that they are more concerned, the Hero Association is more concerned with their financial situation than the situation of the world at large, or at least the situation of what the monsters are actually doing and the threat they pose to everybody. And because of this, Metal Knight's just like, I'm not going to have any part of this operation. If they don't care about the safety of the world, whatever. We're going to just forget it. I'm not being a part of it. And Kid Emperor's just like, he acts like a little kid. He's like, I swear he's a little kid, which is funny because it shows that Kid Emperor, at least in his mind, and as from everything I've seen so far, seems to be a bit more mature than Metal Knight, because Metal Knight is very just like, I'm getting this to experiment on, or I don't want to be a part of this because of this, that, and the other thing. So we don't have enough really to go on yet, so it's kind of hearsay and guessing, but I kind of get where they're coming from. And then we get to the scene that I hate with a passion, which is... 今日も怪人多いな。
こいつらもしかして俺に会いに来てんのか?
It could have been so cool. Actually, it really couldn't have been cool. It was just kind of it was kind of a plot beat where all these monsters hear about the Monster Association because it was leaked to the papers, and they all start heading there, and then Saitama takes them all out with one punch, which they used in the opening. And in this, it literally looks exactly the same. In fact, the opening looks like it has more detail. The only difference is this pans back a bit further, so you see more monsters or more detail of the monsters, which, for all I know, they could have just cropped in on what they already drew for the opening and then used this later in the episode, or I don't know. And of course, the only reason Saitama's out there is because he's trying to get to the garbage truck. Whatever. Could have been funny if they would have done something different. I know that's how it is in the manga. Still irritated that they pretty much just Command C, Command V, and that was it. But whatever. But after that, we get back to the interesting character, Garo, the character that I actually really like. And if you couldn't tell already, I really like him. And he's recovering from his fight, or rather his absolute destruction that he incurred when he fought against King / got kicked through a wall by Saitama. He's got a fever, he's all wrapped up, he's not in great shape, he is not able to really do much, and he even says himself, it's like, that means I'm probably not going to be able to do anything for the next few days. And he crashes in a shed that also happens to be the secret hideout of the kid, well, the kid and his friends, the kid he's been hanging out with, learning more about heroes because of the hero guide. And so, as a result, we get this really interesting character moment because the kid gets sent in to figure out who's crashing in their hut and ask him to leave. And Garo's just like, oh hey, you're the kid with the hero, you're the kid that keeps calling me old man. He's like, you're that old dude. I love it. I love the dynamic between these two. It's so good. And the kid starts crying because Garo's just like, why do I have to listen to what you have to say? And he's like, the kids told me to do that. And Garo said, why don't I give you some advice? Why don't I give you some advice on how to, that way you don't have to do what other people say. Let me give you some advice. Actually, it was not for not being told what to do, but for having people not make fun of him. So that was kind of neat. And I like the fact that Garo does have sort of this very human characteristic to him, despite the fact that he wants to be a monster. Like, that was established so early on, and it's probably the most consistent thing we've had through this entire series, is every time he shows up and he has any sort of speaking lines or dialogue in any way, not fighting, but whenever he actually is speaking with characters, he's been consistent about how he has this humanity about him, despite the fact that he wants to be a monster. But while he's in there giving advice to this kid, he ends up being surrounded by all of these different heroes who are trying to track him down, and, well, this is where the episode gets really, really good. So, while Garo's having this little conversation with the kid, which he actually says, just be stronger than everybody. The kid's like, well, that's obvious. He's like, you get it. You get why it's a big deal. And I love that, the fact that he's just like, just be stronger. The kid's like, yeah. He's like, all right, you get it. All right, cool. That's awesome. Like, he and seeing Garo smile and actually like interact with people like a person is such a cool thing. I don't know why I like that so much. It just gives him this human nature. It makes you want to root for the bad guy, which, well, let's just get into this part of the episode. So as the kid's going to leave, Garo realizes that they're surrounded. And because he realizes that they're surrounded, he casually walks over and punches a hole in the wall to see which heroes are around and asks the kid if he can have the Hero Association or Hero Guidebook, and studies up on the different characters or different heroes that are surrounding him, and then he goes to fight. This fight is so good. And it seems like, and this is something that I didn't really notice before, but going back I started to notice, when there are hard outlines, like hard shadow outlines or hard just general character outlines, that seems to be when this studio is intending to really do some solid, smooth animation. And, well, we get that. And we get that with Garo declaring that he has now hunted over 100 heroes. And also with this moment. Yeah. one of the most badass, smooth, well-done pieces of animation that I have seen in this season thus far, after we saw the first fight between Genos and whatever that giant metal monster thing was. The smoothest, coolest piece of animation, and it was for an attack that actually didn't land, but it was something. It worked, and I love it, and oh my god! Before we finish up this fight, I remembered when I was talking about Genos, he's got new arms. They don't look like garbage anymore, and he hopefully will keep that arm design because I like that one a lot better. It's not as good as the ones from last season, but it's way better than his like bulbous golf ball arms that he's had for the past, or golf ball shoulders that he's had for the past season. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, we have Garo running around trying to fight all these characters, and he's trying to get these heroes to, well, he's trying to take out these heroes, or at least defend the kid and possibly escape or defeat all of them. And this is where his humanity and his sort of ambitions and genuine ambitions and genuine goals make you as a viewer, or at least made me like as a viewer, want to root for him as opposed to rooting for these heroes. It's such a weird like change from the traditional hero fighting to beat the villain sort of deal. Like, you almost want Garo to win. And it's funny because you don't ever, your brain, when you watch a show like this, doesn't want a villain to win. But Garo is such a relatable, genuine, human character that when he's fighting these other heroes, you kind of want him to win. You want him to somehow pull his way out of that. And then the episode ends. Cool. Overall, though, this episode was definitely a pick-me-up from the last episode, because since Garo is not the strongest person and he still finds passion in fighting and he still knows that he can get stronger, seeing him fighting to his fullest, or fighting to the best that he can with his condition and his you know, the fact that he's wounded, all of that leads into this incredible, genuine, and really well-done fight sequence, because you see him fighting because he's not bored by the fight. In fact, he's invested in this fight because you know that he wants to defend the kid, he wants to keep the hut safe, he wants to somehow escape, somehow continue hunting heroes. And that's something that you don't think you want to root for. You don't want to root for somebody who's going to go fight and hunt down heroes, but that's exactly what you're rooting for in this fight scene, because of the fact that Garo has now become one of the most relatable characters. He's like Saitama in a lot of ways, seeing how he can become stronger. He wants to get stronger, and so he still finds genuine challenge and excitement in a fight, whereas with Saitama, last episode didn't work too well because, well, everything's been lackluster, so lacklustering up Saitama's fight, even if it was accurate to the manga, didn't work. Seeing this worked perfectly. And I genuinely hope that they continue this sort of upward movement. I know we're already on episode 10, so there's really only 2 episodes left, I think. Somebody let me know in the comments if this is a 12 or 24 episode series. I think it's 12. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's like seeing that sort of upward trend, you know, better late than never if they keep it that way, but I hope they do. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review / breakdown. What did you guys think of the episode? I'm genuinely curious to know. Let me know in the comments. And apart from that, tomorrow will be Fairy Tail. It'll be the 2 episodes in one, and we're gonna kind of get everything between 33 and 34 of the next season or the next episodes of Fairy Tail, and then after that we'll be back to a consistent schedule because everything's reviews now. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode in the comments. One Punch Man mainly, only, please, just One Punch Man comments. And apart from that, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out some of my other videos. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.